Dr. Patel, President of Nirma University, Dr. Anup Singh, Director General, members of the board, governors, faculty, the parents and families of the students who are graduating today, and the students who are graduated today. I am very honored to be with you this evening on this occasion when these leaders of our country are marching out from this great institution. When I came in this evening into this university, I felt immediately a sense of the possibilities of our country and a sense of great pride to be an Indian when I saw what we Indians can do. And your leadership, Dr. Patel, and Dr. Anup Singh, and the board and the faculty, I thank you on behalf of the people of India for setting a standard that we must all strive to attain and, I would say, even improve upon. Your grounds, your buildings, the conduct of your ceremony is an expression of the quality that India is capable of. In your management school, at the entrance, there's a saying there that you produce quality when you care enough to do your best. And I want to use that statement for guiding what I want to share with you, say to you today. You produce quality when you care enough to do your best. You are in this institution, Dr. Patel and others, caring for what you do here, and you're stretching yourself to do your best. The time has come for us to set our sights much higher than we have so far. We must make our nation a quality nation. A quality nation is one in which citizens will experience quality in their daily lives, in the quality of public services, and in the quality of the institutions that govern their lives. This is what a quality movement in India must set its sights to achieve. Quality is the pursuit of excellence in whatever we do. I always keep with me a simple plumb bob as a talisman of excellence. A plumb bob, as none of you would know, but some of us who are older would recall, is a mason's tool. It is a lump of metal tied to the end of a string. You hold the top of the string, and the weight of the metal lump will make the string hang dead vertical. Thus, holding the plumb bob against a wall, you can tell if it is precisely vertical. And let me tell you the story of my plumb bob. But before that, I must say, looking around at the buildings and the layout of this great institution, one can see things are straight and in order. And I heard, Dr. Patel, that you come every Sunday and make sure everything is straight and in order. But let me tell you about my plumb bob. I worked for 25 years with Tatas, most of them with the Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company, then known as Telco and now called Tata Motors. I was general manager and then resident director of the Telco factories in Pune during the 1970s and 1980s. When a team of Indian managers, engineers, and workers under the leadership of the company's chairman Sumant Murgaonkar had set out to prove to the world and to themselves what an organization of committed Indians could accomplish. We said we were creating a new India. In those days, we had to not only design new trucks and build trucks, we also had to design and build the machines to make the trucks. The country had no foreign exchange for import of machines, and there were no Indian manufacturers who could make the complex machines a modern automobile company required. We designed and made within our factory the country's first fully automated transfer machine for manufacturing cylinder heads for engines. The machine was 50 meters long, with hundreds of meters of hydraulic pipes and thousands of meters of electric wires. Put a raw casting at one end, and out would come at the other end an intricately machined cylinder head with all the ports and openings that a cylinder head needs to perform its critical functions in the engine. It was an engineering marvel. I invited Mr. Mulgaonkar, our chairman, who was then 70 years old, to see the machine when it was installed. I drove him in a jeep alongside this long machine. The workers and engineers who had built the machine were standing proudly beside it. We had gone only halfway when Mr. Mulgaonkar, who was a heart patient, complained that he was not feeling well and asked me to return to the office. He asked for a glass of water and requested that he be left alone for a few minutes. Meanwhile, I sent for the doctor. When the doctor arrived, Mr. Mulgaonkar was looking quite well. He said he did not need the doctor. He wanted to see me alone. Now, when your boss asks to see you alone, you know how you tremble. Mr. Mulgaonkar said to me, "Maira, did you notice the hydraulic pipes? All are not vertical. Please go back and see for yourself." So I drove back, and along with the engineers and workmen, I looked at the pipes, the hundreds of meters of them. Indeed, some of them were not quite vertical. They were slightly out of line. I returned and reported what I had noticed to Mr. Mulgaonkar. He said, "Maira, trifles make for perfection, and perfection is no trifle. You will strip the machine and build it again with everything perfect this time." And so this big marvel, we stripped. Mr. Bhagwati here might remember, and we built it again. And Mr. Mulgaonkar said, "Please give to every manager of the company, including yourself, a plumb bob to keep on their tables. On this plumb bob inscribe, 'Trifles make for perfection, and perfection is no trifle.' To remind yourselves that you must pursue excellence in all you do." When Sumant Mulgaonkar completed his 25 years with the company, he was to be given a watch by the company, as was customary then. And we used to give HMT watches. Many people in the company felt he deserved more. So we all contributed our own money to buy him a Patek Philippe watch, which, as you know, is the world's most perfect engineering watch, handmade in Switzerland. On the back of this Patek Philippe watch that we gave him, we inscribed, "For enriching our lives by your pursuit of excellence." The pursuit of excellence begins with a vision of what is missing in our current reality, but we would all like to see. And to realize the vision of excellence, there must be another vision, a vision of a new way, a new process to achieve that vision. Because if we keep going on the way we are, we will keep reinforcing our current reality and get more of what we already have rather than what we aspire for. I live in Gurgaon, and every day I drive to work in the Planning Commission in New Delhi. On my hour-long drive, I encounter the India that is and the India that can be. At one point in this main road, while citizens could see the metro built with the leadership of Mr. Sridharan smoothly flowing above, they also experienced on the ground what we still have to change about India. When the metro was constructed, traffic was barely affected. In fact, the wheels of construction vehicles crossing the road were washed so that they would not mess up the road. Whereas to repair the road below the metro, the PWD broke up all six lanes simultaneously, 3 on each side, thus making passage of vehicles impossible for several weeks. Here are two versions of India at the same spot at the same time. The quality nation that we can be and the chaos that yet continues to pervade the country. And how will we change this, and who will do it? The sputtering of India's economic growth rate has rung alarm bells for economists and rating agencies. India must attract more private investments in infrastructure and industry. Though attracted by the potential of India's market, investors are turned off by the difficulty of getting things done in the country. A major problem in India is that things are not done well. Very few buildings and projects will pass Mr. Mulgaonkar's plumb bob test. An equally serious problem is that hardly anything is completed on time. Very few projects meet Sridharan's standard of a project done well and completed well in time too. Perhaps we are stuck in a way that we must get out of. Projects are stuck in tardy processes of approval and snarled in interdepartmental wrangles. Consequently, India remains toward the bottom of evaluations of countries for ease of doing business. Projects are stuck in ministerial red tape at the center and lost within jungles of uncoordinated processes in the states. Very poor coordination amongst agencies, poor implementation, and leaky delivery systems are also the root causes of the unsatisfactory state of India's health, education, and other public services. During the Planning Commission's consultations with stakeholders for preparing the 12th five-year plan, citizens said they were fed up with foundation stones and schemes strewn across the country by political leaders yearning for the limelight. Citizens want more finishing stones, they said, more results on the ground. The present strategy in use in India to address coordination and implementation failures is 1. Appoint yet more committees to coordinate, and 2. Set up more monitoring agencies. Thus, the system has become cluttered with committees for coordination, and coordination amongst them has become another problem. Moreover, monitoring can point out that things are not happening, which is useful information, but more useful is the ability to get things done without error and in time. There is a widespread need in India to convert confusion into coordination, contention into collaboration, and thus intentions into implementation. Easier said than done, many say. It is our culture to be argumentative, they explain, and democracy makes it difficult to get people to work together, they add. If only we had a dictator for a decade to get growth going, then we can get back to democracy, some wishfully dream. Of course, they have no solution for how a widely accepted dictator will quickly and peacefully emerge in our democracy. There has to be a democratic alternative to dictatorship for discipline. In a highly diverse as well as democratic country such as India, consensus is required for all stakeholders to move together forward and faster. This consensus cannot be commanded. We need another mechanism specifically designed to bring people with different perspectives together, to listen to each other, to distill the essence of their shared aspiration for their habitations or their organizations, and to adopt the critical principles that they will adhere to in the work they must do together. A model of a process of rapidly improving a nation's capabilities to get things done systematically, and I return to quality, is available in the Total Quality Movement in Japan, TQM. In less than 2 decades, Japan, which had a reputation for poor quality, low-cost products, became the international benchmark of quality in many industries and several of its public services too. You are too young to remember, and some of us might, that in the 1950s and early 60s, Japanese trains did not run on time. You might remember that things that Japan produced, we used to say cheap, ghatiya mal. Then, in 10 years' time, Japan became the hallmark of quality, whether it was cars, or it was trains running on time, or it was washing machines, or electronic goods. The essence of the TQM movement in Japan was the deployment at several levels in many organizations, and especially the shop floor levels, but higher levels also, even up to top management, of simple techniques of systems thinking, cooperative action, and continuous improvement. These techniques were developed by experts in companies and universities and disseminated in the country through industry and other institutional networks, and through radio, pamphlets, competitions, and other means of connecting with the public. The movement was stirred and it grew as a network. It was not a centrally managed government program. There was a principal node in the network. It was a non-governmental body, the Japanese Union of Scientists and Engineers, JUICE, in which many people from industry and academia and also government participated to provide a facilitative leadership to the movement. Within India's 12th plan, which is underway, is the description of a similar transformative process to improve capabilities in our country to get things done. This process, described as the India backbone, the backbone with which we can get things to work together, the Backbone Implementation Network, or IBIN for short, can improve results in many sectors of the economy. The architecture of IBIN is along similar lines as the TQM movement of Japan, and we've taken experience of other countries, Korea, Malaysia, which are systematically, and before that Singapore, improving the ability of a nation which was considered backward to transform itself and become like Singapore, Korea, and Malaysia now too, as hallmarks of what can be done when a nation sets itself to get to a higher standard and people work together to create the nation that they want. And you can learn more about IBIN, India Backbone Implementation Network, that is, by visiting its website at www.ibinmovement.in. Ladies and gentlemen, India has many popular movements uniting citizens against what they do not want, of which corruption is a principal enemy. The country also needs movements to unite citizens for what they want in their habitats and their lives, and to enable them to work together to create what they want. And the nascent IBIN movement is a movement for co-creating our own worlds. And like TQM in Japan, it will be formed by leaders and networks of leaders in many parts of the country, in many organizations. And that's a call to you, to young people, to be the nuclei, the seeds of this movement of producing quality in your lives and the life of your neighbors and the life of your organizations, and thus the lives of all citizens of this country. IBIN is a way to make India a quality nation, but who will lead? I'm calling upon you to lead. You are stepping out from this institution from which I do hope, having spent 2 years and more, you would have imbibed that sense of pride which I got in a few hours. And you will take that and never let that flame die. You will encounter chaos, confusion, and you can succumb to it and say, this was possible only in Nirma University, but not here. But you must make it happen there too. I want to thank the leaders of this institution and the governing council. I want to thank the staff of this institution for creating the conditions for these young leaders to step out for our country. And I want to thank the parents and the families of these children for giving us these children to lead our country. And I want to congratulate you all, but your journey has hardly begun. It has just begun. This is a momentous day, but I hope you look back at it some 50 years from today and say, that was a good start. I began by quoting something from your own management school, that you create quality when you care enough to do your best. How do you know you care enough? You know you care enough when you've done your best, you say, it's still not good enough. I want for this to do even better. Every morning when you wake up, or sometime in the day, please, as you step out of here, ask yourself, be quiet and ask yourself, what do I care about most of all? What do I care to produce in my life? yes, for myself, but for my family and for my neighbors and for all the citizens of this country, especially those who still do not have the chance that I got. Let every morning you discover the care that you can have for producing a better world. Then step out into the day and do something different and better that day to get yourself towards this aspiration. Let me end with the lines of the poet Robert Frost. And I'm reading the last part of his poem, where he says, "But yield who will to that temptation, yield whoever will to that temptation. My object in living is to unite my vocation and my avocation, as my two eyes make one in sight. For only where love and need are one, and work is play for mortal stakes, is the deed ever really done for heaven's and the future's sakes." So God bless you all, and all of us together, let us shape the country that will be the country that not just ourselves, but for, I would say, for my age, that my grandchildren can also say, is a country that is showing the world what a quality nation can be. Thank you so much.